Welcome everyone, my name is Quentin and today is the next installment of our lockdown series where we're going to be looking at creating interactive lessons using the Smart Suite Libraries Smart Classroom system. It is live today. I'm monitoring the chat console, so over on the right hand side of your screen, if you've got any questions in today's session, make sure that you reach out to me and I'll be able to answer them as we go along. So without further ado, let's jump over and have a look at how we go about creating these interactive lessons. So in Smart Suite Library and TV for Education, we've got a module called the Smart Classrooms module, and this allows you to obviously engage and connect with your students via interactive lessons. So in order to create a lesson, what we first need to do is we need to log in, go to the system menu, and come down to Smart Classrooms. If you're not logged in, you will not have access to the Smart Classrooms module. If your teachers are coming to you and saying, hey, I don't know where I'm clicking, I can't see Smart Classrooms in the menu, it's because they do not have a user role of teacher. So you need to head over to Patron Management and make sure that they have that role. If you're not sure about that, send an email or a ticket over to our customer service team and they can help you out with that. Now when we click on Smart Classrooms, we've got two options. We can have a look at My Lessons, which is everything that I've created right now, or I can go to Create a Lesson. If I click Create a Lesson, it's going to open up Smart Classrooms in the new lesson mode. All right, it's going to ask me for a lesson name, so I can go ahead and type in a name for my lesson. Okay, and give it a little bit of a description. Okay, this description is going to make your lesson easier to search for. We're going to use that as the notes or the summary of your lesson. Once I've gone and added that in, we click on Save, and we've now created our first lesson. So if we were to go over to My Lessons, we would see this listed in the My Lessons area. Okay, but we've obviously got no content, so it's just going to be a lesson that has a title and a description. That's about it. First thing we want to do is we want to add in a little bit of a welcome message so that when our users open this lesson up, they know exactly what's going on. So we've got the ability to add two different types of objects. The first one is a resource, and then we've got some questions. So if I click on resources, at the top of the pop-up here, we have a number of different things that we can add in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on text. Now for each object, we need to give it a title. So I'm going to give this a title of Welcome to my lesson, or Welcome to the water lesson. Okay, now we can go and format a welcome message. So I'm going to center my cursor here, put it bold and underline. I'm going to put the text color as blue, and I'm going to set the font size to really big. Welcome to the lesson. Okay, then I'm going to go down, I'm going to make that left justified, removed all these other settings, set the text back to black. Welcome, maybe even make that font size a little bit smaller, to our lesson on water. Today we're going to learn if water is necessary for things to live. Okay, so we can go through and we can add in a whole bunch of text. We can also use hyperlinks to make sure that we can link users out to various objects or websites in our welcome message. We've also got the ability to highlight different things, change the font, make them bold, italics, really up to you. It's all about giving your end users as much information as possible to welcome them into and get them set up with the structure that you would like them to do for their lesson. Okay, so if we click save, we can now see that our welcome object is at the top of the list there. Now what we want to do is we want to introduce them to the topic by asking them to watch a video. So we're going to click on Add Resource again. And this time I'm going to click on TV for Education, and we want to search the TV for Education library. Now, most of our schools have a subscription to TV for Education, which means that your teachers will have access to over 180,000 video titles for the Australian curriculum. Okay, now if your school hasn't subscribed to that just yet, make sure to get in contact with us. We have a whole host of end-of-year promotions that are running to help you get access to that resource. Okay, go through and find something that's going to be of use for your particular lesson. Okay, and add that video in. Now, over on the right-hand side, you can see that there is a hint for this object. So we've also got the ability, if I edit that, to put in a hint. Please make sure that you pay attention to minute 2. Okay, we can even change the title. So instead of it reading the TV for Education title, if I click on that edit again, I can change the title to Please watch this video and then answer the questions below. Okay, and that's what your clients will see. Okay, from there, we'd like to get them to answer some questions. So I'm going to go to my questions here, and I'm going to start off with a missing word. So I'm going to use the text editor to type out the question that I would like them to answer. The chemical formula for water is, add a missing word. We can see that I've got a blank field there. H2O is the correct answer. We can also put in a question hint. They reference this in the video above at the 2-minute mark. Save. Okay, and there's our question that's been formatted. Add another question. We're going to do a multiple choice. The following living things need water to survive. Question hints. Please watch the video above. Mammals, plants, humans, all of the above. And we can validate it so that the system can automatically mark the questions for us. Okay, and there we have it. We've now got a lesson that has a welcome message, a video, and then some questions that we would like the students to answer. Now, using that process that we've gone through just now, we can continue to add information to this lesson. So once we have watched this particular video and answered these 2 questions, we may want the kids to access a handout. So we can go over to our Add Resources, and we can go to our Uploaded Files. We can upload a brand new file that they need to download for us, and we can select that into the system. Okay, or we can select something that's already been uploaded once before, and that will get displayed in our lesson for us. We can also go to the URLs, and we can add other websites. So if we go to Google, and we have a look for water experiments for year 5, and we grab something from the STEM website, add resource, title for the URL is activity to try at home. Put that URL in here. Make sure to try this with your parents only. Okay, and we can add the URLs, uploaded files, YouTube videos, additional text. So once they've gone and completed a couple of activities at top with the questions, they can then go ahead and have a look at the next component of the lesson that we would like them to do by adding in some additional text into the lesson. Okay, so there is all of the lessons that I've been adding in. Okay, so we've got the flexibility to go through and add all that content if we wanted to reorder the material. So earlier I double clicked on some of these items from the file upload, and that's why it's added those in a couple of times. I'm just going to remove them. Okay, and we've also got the ability to reorder the resources. So if I want that URL to appear above some of the other content, all I need to do is click on those arrows up or arrows down, and that's going to move that object one up or one down. Okay, down the bottom of the screen in the toolbar, we also have some additional tools. So we've got the ability to duplicate an existing lesson. So if we're creating an assignment for year 5s, we're going to be doing an assignment for year 6s that's going to reuse some of the content, but we're going to add some more difficult questions in. We can go ahead and do that. We've also got the ability to add different slides to our lesson. So in the middle of the toolbar, you've got one page out of one page for our lesson. But let's say that we wanted to have all of our teaching material on the first page, and then we wanted to create a new slide and put all of our questions on the second page. You've got the ability to control that as well. Okay, so it's just a matter of thinking about how you would like to navigate this, or you want your clients, your students to navigate this in a real world environment. Okay, now once you've gone ahead and created your lesson and added all your objects and your questions in, you now want to get this information to your end users. Now, if they're going to be accessing it on an iPad or a computer or something that's digital and has access to the internet, click on Share down the bottom, and you've got the ability to click on that URL, which will copy it to your clipboard and then send that in an email to your clients. If you wanted to, you could print that QR code, so we can right click and go copy image, take that over to our assignment worksheet, paste that on, and your clients can use their smart device to scan the QR code and then have a look at all the material and answer the questions on their phones. At the conclusion of the lesson, let's say that you've given everyone 2 days to answer the questions. You can also come back into the share area and say, my lesson is no longer accepting answers. And what that's going to do is it's going to lock all the responses for your users so they can't change their answers once you reviewed the lesson with them in the class. Okay, and then using the reports that I'll show you in a moment, you can then take that and put a report mark, a lesson mark into the students' portfolios for that lesson that you created. Okay, so it's nice and easy to spot the lesson from accepting or not accepting answers. The top parameter here, this is some security. Okay, so if we've got a particular lesson that has some suspect content, or it's mature content that we don't want other year levels to be able to see, make sure that you use that drop down to select which year group has the ability to access that lesson. If you've got some M-rated content in there from TV for Education, make sure that you go and select the appropriate year level. Okay, just remember, if we select a lower year level, all the year levels above them will also have access to that lesson. So year 10s, 11s and 12s will now have access to view this lesson. If we set year 12s only Year 12s and staff will have access to it. Okay, so all of that is accessible through the share button down the bottom. Over next to it, we've got the print. We've got the ability to print the lesson results. So once we've locked our lesson and we want to see how every student went, we can click results, and that will print one piece of paper for every student that has submitted a response to our lesson. It'll give them a score out of 100, and it will tell you what they answered and whether or not it was correct or incorrect. Okay, if you're doing this as a paper-based lesson, you can create all of your questions online. Then you can click on worksheets, and all the questions that you have created on all the various slides will now be presented on this blank paper for you. So you can print off 30 copies, walk into the classroom and present that to your students for them to answer with pen and paper, and you can still go through the lesson in the format that you wanted, or the chronological sequence that you wanted to go through with your students. Once they've then handed back their paper, you then have a correct answer sheet, which will go through and show you which of the answers were correct. So you've got your marking sheet and then all of your lessons that you have to mark, or answers that you have to mark, and you can go through and compare those. Okay, and that's all accessible through here. Now, if you are doing a online lesson, the attendance report is going to be something that you will find really, really awesome. What that's going to do is every time a student accesses your lesson, they will be registered with your lesson. Okay, so you send that URL out and you'll see one entry down the page for every student that has logged in. Now, if they are green, it's going to tell you that they're currently online and engaging with your lesson. If they are orange, the system is going to notify you that they are logged in, but it doesn't think that they're engaging with the lesson anymore. Not 100% sure, but there hasn't been a lot of activity on it. If they're red, it's going to tell you flat out that they are no longer engaging. They've jumped over to Minesweeper and they're playing a game. They've gone to Facebook and they're no longer actually interactively engaged with your lesson. Okay, from there, you'll be able to lock that user out. There's a button that will say close. They will no longer be able to attend the lesson online. You can then print out that paper-based version and get them to answer along with pen and paper because they've lost their online lesson privileges with you. Okay, so it's a very powerful report. There's nothing that needs to be installed on the end client's devices for that to happen. It's all done through the smart technology that's built into Smart Suite. Okay, so preparing a lesson is really, really, really easy. It's just a matter of making sure that you go through and hit Smart Classrooms, create a lesson, and then choose the correct type of object that you would like to display to your end clients. Now, to take it to the next level, we've got the ability with the system to edit videos. So in the example that we just went through then, we were able to go and tell the users there is a hint and I would like you to watch from 2 minutes onwards and pay attention to that area. Okay, but we can take it to the next level where we can actually edit the videos so that we're only watching 2 minutes of a particular 45-minute series. Or we might have a couple of chapters that we would like the kids to really focus on. We don't want them being distracted by the whole movie. Well, Smart Classrooms has a built-in editor, and not only can we edit TV for Education videos, but we can also legally edit YouTube content, and we can add that into the lesson as well. So this is something that has just been absolutely taken on by all the teachers that have engaged with Smart Classrooms, because we all know that teachers love YouTube. Okay, they already know that with TV for Education, we get rid of a lot of the peripheral ads that load on the screen and all the video ads that appear before the programs themselves. But Smart Classrooms takes it to the next level where you can actually chapterize all the YouTube videos, and you can add questions that relates to that particular chapter. So to find out more about editing the video content and YouTubes and using that with your lesson, make sure that you come across to the next episode, which is going to be all about editing videos. So jump onto the YouTube channel, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notification when that event goes live. And jump on and have a look at when those events are coming up as well. If you're not already part of the FSI user community, we're also putting posts out there as to when these events are happening. So if you like Facebook as a mode of getting access to that information, make sure that you jump over there as well. Now, I hope that everyone got a lot out of the session today. There is a whole bunch of articles that are available on the Help Center all around smart classrooms. You've also got access to the Quick Start Guide through the Help menu system. Okay, so in Smart Suite, if you click on Menu and go down to Support, you've got access to the Quick Start Guide. And in the Quick Start Guide, we've got all the step-by-step instructions for smart classrooms as well. So it's got all the other stuff with circulation and cataloging and all that sort of stuff that's built into the Library and TV for Education system. Okay, but you've also got a whole bunch of chapters all based around smart classrooms, creating lessons, adding content, clipping videos, sharing them, and doing those reports that we looked at. Okay, so if you wanted to print those out and make a couple of copies for your staff to make it easier for them to find out how to engage with the Smart Classroom system, you can do that as well. Okay, so tons of resources out there. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to gain access to that information to make sure that you and your staff are getting the most out of your subscription with us. If there's any questions, make sure that you reach out to us by the concierge. Now, before we finish, I've just had a look and I can see that one of our users today has put up a question to the YouTube channel. That question is, how do you move the questions to the second page? Unfortunately, at the moment, Dorte, we don't have the ability to move the questions from one page to the other. Okay, so if you do have a question that you have put onto page number 1, and I'll just share my screen again, we've only got the ability to move those questions up and down. We don't have the ability to move it from page 1 to page 2. Okay, so if you are wanting to do that, unfortunately what you'll have to do is go to page number 2 and then add a brand new question and retype the information that you had set up on page 1. That's the way that we do it at the moment, but because you've mentioned it today, I'm going to go ahead and submit that to the research and development team and see what we can do in a future version to make sure that we've got the ability to easily transfer those questions from pages to pages. Okay. Setting up the questions is fairly simple, so it shouldn't take a lot of time to do that unless you've got 35, 45 questions that you've already configured. If that is the case and it is going to take you a little bit of time, reach out to us and see what we can do on the customer service team. Okay, there is a possibility that we might be able to do it ad hoc for you just to help you out so you don't have to spend copious amounts of time transferring all those questions to another page. Where there might even be a different way where we say to you, look, you've got 40 pieces of information on that page. 35 of them are questions. Instead of moving the questions to your second page, how about you create a new page and move the 5 pieces of content and then use the reorder slide to make slide number 2 slide number 1. Okay, so there's always going to be ways that we can help you out to get the best out of the system and to make the best use of your time. Okay, so I'm going to stick around for a couple more minutes just to make sure that there haven't been any more questions that comes through after the session today. Dorte, really appreciate your questions coming through. If anyone has any other questions, like Dorte did, please make sure that you chuck them into the chat console. I'll stick around for a few more minutes. Otherwise, we'll close the session off. Thank you so much for attending the session today. I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and we'll catch you again in one of our upcoming YouTube live sessions. Thanks, everyone.